terminated everyone except our 3 managers. This one-line email hit me like a freight train. It was March 18th, 2020, and one of my favorite and most stable clients had just been forced to close the doors of their concert venue. I could feel the fear welling up from the pit of my stomach. It had been lingering just below the surface for about a week. An overwhelming sadness hit me, and I completely lost it. Oh my God, if all of my clients go under, how will I make money? I was on the front row watching some of the most epic and horrifying plot twists unfold within my clients' businesses. I was on the front line of the fear around money. As a bookkeeper, I have the honor and privilege of witnessing hundreds of people and their intimate relationship with money. Believe me, I've seen every emotion possible: fear, guilt, shame, but I've also witnessed money to be joyful, empowering, and full of possibility. I've experienced all of these emotions in my own life as well. But it wasn't until I was willing to dig into my own money story that I saw how fear blinded me from what's possible. I was born in Middle America to a middle-class family in the middle of the 1970s. We weren't rich and we weren't poor. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs, and I learned at a very young age about working really hard. The last real job I had before I started my business, I was running an event center, and no surprise, I was working really hard, just as I'd learned from my parents. About year 4, I was given a second building to manage. My workload had doubled, although my pay remained the same. It took me over a year to get up the courage to ask my boss for a much-deserved raise. It felt so awkward and shameful and greedy to ask for more money, but I couldn't keep working at this pace without being fairly compensated. I held back what I really wanted to ask for and suggested a 25% increase, although there was 3 times that amount in the budget. My boss came back and offered me a 4% raise. I was shocked, hurt, and furious. After a few agonizing and sleepless nights, I decided to stand up for myself. I'm not willing to work for free, I courageously told my boss. The next day, he walked into my office and fired me. As I called my husband, my voice began to quiver with anger and rage. I'd felt so taken advantage of, and the tears began to flow. Oh my God, what am I going to do without a paycheck and health insurance? I worked so hard. Doesn't that mean anything? What happened in the next few days was life-changing. Instead of looking for another job where another boss could underappreciate my work, I started asking some soul-searching questions, and I got my first glimpse into what I like to call the land of plenty, a world where I get to choose what's possible for me and my future without being afraid of not having enough. Within a week, I'd made up my mind. I opened up my own event planning and bookkeeping business. I now have a life that I love. My husband and I moved to San Diego, which I dreamed about for over a decade. I'm not working as hard and making lots more money, although it took lots of soul-searching to get to this place. You see, it's not like the day that I got fired and decided to become an entrepreneur. I magically left behind that belief I had to work really hard. If anything, that story only amplified. As a new business owner, my hard work paid off at first. I quickly grew my business to 40-plus clients and made more money than I ever had before. It felt like amazing success. There was just one little problem. I didn't have any time to enjoy the life I was creating. I was still working really hard to make money. I would get up at 5 a.m. and get right to work. I was working nights and weekends just to get it all in. I loved hiking in the hills behind my house, but was I getting out? No. My clients' needs always came first. Am I the only one that's ever been here? No. I didn't think so. I was operating from a state of fear, feeling that if I didn't work really hard, I wouldn't have enough money, and therefore, didn't have enough clients, I wouldn't have enough money. So to make sure that didn't happen, I underpriced my services and over-delivered. Silly me. Eventually, this led to another problem. I ended up with more clients than I can handle. Sounds like a great problem, but I didn't have the systems in place to support the number of clients I was attracting, and I just worked even harder. I was living in the land of scarcity and lack. For me, my lack of money story was amplified by my lack of time story. I was hovering just below that elusive six-figure mark. The thought of taking on one more client to reach that goal was exhausting. How could I possibly fit one more client into my busy workload? So I raised my prices just a bit, making sure I didn't feel too greedy, hoping clients might fall away. No one left. I wanted to hire a team to support me, but I was afraid of giving up control. I was exhausted and overwhelmed, but I just didn't see any other way to run my business. The truth? I was self-sabotaging my success. The belief I had to work really hard was running the show. It stopped me from moving forward. I stopped networking and seeking out new opportunities because I simply didn't have the bandwidth. Something had to change. About that time, I met a business coach who combined systems, strategy, and soul. I followed my intuition and I hired her. Over the next 6 months, I transformed into a soulpreneur and I found my leader within. I unlearned my belief that I had to work really hard and hired a team to support me. I unlearned putting my clients' needs before my own and restructured my business so I could go out on those daily hikes and have time to enjoy my life. I let go of clients who were no longer a good fit and didn't bring me joy. But most of all, I stopped being afraid of not having enough time, enough clients, enough money. I left scarcity at the door and I walked into the land of plenty. You see, it wasn't just about making money. I found my soul's calling to inspire women to rise up and embrace their money power. Amazing things happen when we let go of fear. My leader within emerged, and I gave birth to a movement. I opened a second business, the Money Empowerment Project, to help others transform and find their own land of plenty. Deep down to my core, I know the Money Empowerment Project is here to create worldwide sisterhoods where we support each other. Powerful women, consciously and joyfully spending and receiving from one another in micro-communities. A micro-community works like this. I spend $100 on my hairdresser buys some flowers, the florist buys some concert tickets, and the concert venue spends some money on advertising with a magazine that just happens to be my client. The magazine spends money on bookkeeping, and that money comes back to me. The coolest thing is that same $100 has become income for 5 different businesses. Knowing that money quickly and easily regenerates and multiplies empowers me. I know that my ability to generate money no longer lives outside of me. It's no longer a source of fear. I'm also not afraid to spend money because I know it's just a matter of time before the money I spend comes back to me. Uncovering these truths was a huge turning point. When I finally reached my 6-figure goal, to my surprise and delight, it didn't happen by working hard. It was a direct result of unlearning the stories that no longer served me, leaning into possibility, and finding my leader within. Since that year, my business has flourished. In the last 45 days of 2020, I brought in more income than I'd made in an entire year while I was running the event center. And this year, I officially became a multi-6-figure business owner. I'm sharing the details of my success because I'm here to change the conversation about how much money we make from one of secrecy and shame to celebration. I'm here to celebrate not only my success, but your success as well. And speaking of success, remember my client that had to shut their doors? Well, they received over $2 million in government grants because they knew their numbers. They faced fear and leaned into what was possible. My success is a direct result of finding my leader within. I follow my intuition in everything I do, from the vendors I hire, the clients I choose to work with, and how I invest in my business. It's all done from a place of standing in my power and leaning into what's possible. This soul-aligned leader within does not allow fear to run the show. I know there's always enough, and I lead from the land of plenty.